Can you hear me?
I sure can. Fantastic.
Sure.
All right. Okay, so please start by introducing yourself. Tell us a
Okay,
little
my
bit
name.
about your company, or sorry, where you work, your community, and uh, your background.
Okay, my name's Blaine. I'm the town fireman in a little town called Granum. Well, now it's a hamlet, taken over by the MD of Willow Creek, and we have a really good relationship. We do a lot of work together, and I started using ActiZyme 6 years ago because the previous staff, I guess you would say, when we were still a town,
Hmm.
they were constantly having buildups in the piping and in the lift stations. And so I started flushing upstream with a tanker of water once a month just to give it a punch because I know that low flow toilets create problems. So I started punching upstream and I started using ActiZyme and I people say I'm excessive, but it really works. So my bosses understand and they appreciate the use of it and what we do with it. And so I put 55 pounds a month upstream after I flush with the tanker. And 4 or 5 days later, I have all the fats, soaps, lards, greases all end up down in my main lift station. And my pipes are clean and green most of the time. I've never had to bring in a pressure truck or anything to help us out. It's always worked well for us, just flushing and zyming, and it's just a regular maintenance program we do, and we have no issues. My lift stations are clean. I don't have buildups. It just works fabulous. And when
Hmm.
we did the lagoon treatment, Jonathan and I was out in the anaerobic cell, the little boat, and we changed it by feet. Like it was really surprising. I want to say, at top of my head, it was like $45,000 to do the lagoon. We did it for 2 years. Our lagoon had never been touched in 40, and we
Yeah.
gained feet of space, and you could see the change in the microbiological action. You could see the difference in the water. I'm a firm believer in what it does. It takes a little preventative maintenance, and it works amazing.
So tell us a little more as you got started. Like, how was the actual system before you, like years ago when you got started?
Oh, it was
How did it look?
horrible. Like you couldn't see the pipes for all the buildup on the pipes. Even when you lifted a manhole, you're like, ooh, that looks bad.
Hmm.
So I just started flushing first because I understand that gravity systems were built on a 5 gallon flush. So with low flow toilets and everybody buying a low flow toilet, it just created buildups and more problems. So once I started flushing regularly, cleaning out those lines, just giving it that punch it needs of water to take it to the lift station. And I had already heard about ActiZyme and talked to other people, and I started using it. And I'll say within 6 to 8 months, you could start seeing the pipes again and the cleanliness of it, and it
Hmm.
works fabulously.
Hmm. So yeah, it wasn't immediate, but it did take a little bit of time, and then you were able to see it
Yeah,
break down.
it's not an instant thing by any stretch.
Hmm.
Like when I zyme and flush once a month, it takes 4 or 5 days to actually get to the main lift station. And then you can see the results. You're like, wow, look at that.
Hmm. 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 Great. And so, um, how does that make a difference in your operations? If you looked at normal operations, you've been an operator for a long time. So in other
Well, we have a
situations,
town, I'm not naming names, so we have a town beside us that has issues with grease and such things. And most of their system is gravity, but they do have one area that's lift station. And they have a pressure truck and they're constantly cleaning their lines, like constantly. That truck used to be here years ago, probably every 2 weeks to keep the system flowing. And ever
mm,
since I started flushing and zyming, I've never called anybody for anything. We just keep it clean. keeps it going. That's the whole purpose of my job.
Right.
I don't want the phone call that it's backed up in somebody's basement or any of that. So I'm kind of anal retentive about it. We stay on it. We're always pulling manholes and looking down because it takes seconds to have a look.
Hmm.
It's just
Yeah,
more
but
of
time
a
saves.
being proactive is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't
No,
wait for
that's good.
problems, solve the problems.
Right.
Like when you and I started at the lagoon, we had the old 2x6 coverings on the sluice gates, and mine used to freeze in the winter. So I built new ones and I insulated them, and now they don't freeze. It's just really out thinking problems and making it simple for yourself.
Right now. Yeah, no, that's great. That's some really good operational adjustments. Having had to clean and flush it with the vac trucks and pressure trucks and
Yeah, I'm not that interested in going
yeah,
down there, so I try to make it simple for us.
yeah, that's
And
good.
I'm lucky because my bosses fully understand and they back it 100%, which not everybody can do. I mean, I realize there's small little places that have no money, but you have to look at the end result. What would it really cost you? Like if we had to desludge my lagoon, that would be 250, $300,000. And then you got
Hmm.
to find somewhere to put it, right?
Hmm. Yeah, talking about that, let's talk about the lagoon in a second. But as far as the actual like lines and the flushing, how even though you have to pay for act design and it does cost some money, would you think would be the financial impacts of when you were not using it and having to flush it versus using that design to help you do that?
Well, I mean, the lift stations used to be horrible. They were just coated. Nobody ever cleaned them. And most of the manholes, if you pulled them and you looked at the lines, you couldn't see the lines. And the old town stuff, like I say, they used to have the pressure truck here, and because they scour it, and it was here probably every 2 weeks for sure, but sometimes once a week, and at $400 an hour, it doesn't take long to
Mm,
have a steep bill. So that's why I promote preventative maintenance because it's so much simpler and easier to do than having to painstakingly go through all of that.
yeah, yeah. The hard thing too, and let me know too. I'm not an operator, so I don't know for sure. But if you have someone on site doing work for you, you kind of have to supervise them. Do you not?
Oh, of course, you have to be there hands on all the time. It's no different than a water main break. Like you've got to be there.
Yeah. So that's a very time consuming thing as well, where the preventative maintenance side of things, if we're able to apply the product consistently, regularly, and not have to take the time on that, not only is it a cost savings for the actual work to be done, but then time savings for you guys, not having to be there constantly to clean out and manage the collections. So,
Well, and I mean, it's just being aware, being on top of it.
mhm.
It's, I don't want
So
that phone call.
yeah, exactly, right? You don't want that call. So a question for you. When you were considering act design, what led you to the idea to actually try it? Do you remember back in a while, a few years ago, why you decided to do it?
Um, just by hearing people talk and truthfully, since I've started using ActDesign, I've had two or three other companies show up at my door. It's like they know I'm using your stuff, and they've I asked them, I'm like, well, if you give me some, I'll give it an honest try because I'm that person, right? So I get 5 gallon pails out of the lagoon and I'd try yours and I'd try theirs and I'm not blowing smoke. Yours wipe them all. But it's I've heard there's liquid kinds, there's all kinds, but I see the results. Like you can come to this town anytime you want, come for a visit. I'll show you whatever you want. You point at a manhole, I'll lift it, and you'll see clean and green pipes. Like that's the purpose.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, good. So it was part peer recommendation, but you also took the time to compare and test things out
Well,
yourself.
I've tried it a few times with other products, and one was maybe half as good as yours, and that was about as close as I got.
Hmm. Hmm. Awesome. Um, okay. let's walk through this practical use for your. So I have the picture here of the before and after. So tell us, this was a bigger project to clean up the lagoon. Tell us a little bit before, how it kind of got started, and then where you got to, and how you applied it, and just tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, you loaned me that device, the sludge tester
Yeah.
and the other thing, can't remember what it's called now. And I just went out, we got a little boat, and I went out and went through the anaerobic cells because nobody had ever touched it. There was no history of it ever being touched in 40 years. So I'm like, well, it's got to be getting pretty deep in there. So I tested it, and for the size of what we have, it was, you know, we were in pretty good shape. Like, if it went on for a few more years, we could probably start to see a problem. But so then I started doing some research and I started talking to different ways to remove it and how much it costs. And then what was your guy down there in, was it Bull Island? They did it, I think,
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
they gained feet of space. And
Yeah,
I was so impressed with that. I went and talked to the guy and he showed me, he's like, this is exactly what happened. So that's when I talked to my bosses and we discussed it and they put it through council and we voted on it. And you and I did it for, what was that, 2 years?
mm-hmm.
And we just, you gave me so much product and I just divvied it up into time over summer. And I
Yeah,
think it was every second day or every third day I'd go over and we just threw the pouches in and because they're dissolvable and it worked out well. And then we waited what, a year? And then you and I went over and tested it again, and that's when we learned what we gained, and it was feet of space. So you
yeah,
can't say it doesn't work.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
beats the other method of, a excavator and a few trucks and two or three hundred thousand dollars, and then finding somewhere the government will let you put it. So it only makes perfect sense to go butt it that way.
for sure. Right on. Yeah, and so yeah, the instrument you used was a sludge judge, the clear tube that you can go through, and it's a pretty normal tool.
I
That a
love
lot of
being out there in my underwear, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
I wasn't wearing
Don't
my clothes. No
don't want
way.
to fall in there. Yeah.
No.
So. But yeah, you can see here as you were describing, like we have the before and after. We took the coordinates and helped you, calculate basically a 72.4% reduction, total reduction, where at the bottom of it is basically 0 to 5 inches of, so it was very, very small, a little bit near the inlet when it moved from one cell to the next, but you could tell significant drops of feet all the way up to about 40 inches down to like 2 or 3 inches there. So yeah, it's a significant change. So one more question, or actually, does anybody else have a question for for Blaine before I move on to the next person? And so the last question I had for you then is other operators, other people considering wanting to use this, what would you give them as not like, hey, try it and use it, but like, what would be the way that they should like methodically kind of go through and assess whether this should could be working for them?
I think it's more about knowing your system, the ins and outs of everything, and what it costs you to function. And I know, like I say before, I know a lot of municipalities, they have no money. I understand. But I look at the greater cost. What does it cost? Like in 2020, I think when I flooded the lift station there with the rain, we got 5 inches of rain in 4 hours and it came right out the floor. And I brought in the vac trucks and we just started hauling. And it was probably a $16,000 day, which is a lot
Mm,
of money, but versus your basement at 20, 30, $50,000 repair. I mean, it's how you view it. It's what you think is the best way.
right.
And I mean, I do a lot of trial and error things like building insulation over my lagoon sluice gates, and I have a couple of very shallow manholes that I could stand in, like they're 4 feet deep, just because of poor design. And they freeze in the winter, so I found these little stainless steel lids that I put under the manhole, and now they don't freeze. Like you just have to be proactive and smart about what you're doing, and think about what you're asking if you're asking councils for money or budget stuff. Like you gotta prove it, pros and cons.
Hmm. Awesome. Thank you, Blaine. Appreciate it. Um, yeah, thank you so much. So we're gonna jump over to Jason now. Thanks, Blaine.